right, welcome back to another School Principal Reacts. This is Brandon, and I'm doing something a little different today. Someone very recently reminded me that there are a few school scenes in the original movie Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. I've not seen this movie in probably 30 years, so I don't really remember. I vaguely remember him being in school, but I have no idea what actually happened in those scenes. I'm really curious. I totally forgot that there were some classroom scenes in that movie. I remember mostly, of course, things from the Chocolate Factory and all the zany stuff that Willy Wonka did, Gene Wilder being the original actor. I do remember that. I'm really curious to react to those classroom scenes in the movie. And then after my reaction, I do want to highlight something new for you. You can't really see it at the moment, but if I move out of the way here, you can see behind me, I have a new painting of my logo, and I want to highlight how I got that at the end of the video. But without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so here Charlie is right outside the chocolate factory. And in case you're not familiar with this movie, most of you all probably are, or at least familiar with the much newer Johnny Depp version, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But one thing I never quite understood about this movie, and maybe you all can help with this because it's going to affect my reaction to the school scenes, is if you Google where was this movie set, it will very quickly tell you that it was shot in Germany. Yet you have Charlie with his American English accent, and I believe the teacher has a British accent, and you've got all sorts of things going on. Willy Wonka in the movie has an American accent, of course, and you're just really not sure where the movie is supposed to take place within the context of the script, because it never really makes that clear to my knowledge. Maybe you all can help me with that in the comments. All right, well, here he is. This is the classroom scene. I believe there are at least 2 classroom scenes in this movie. And one of the things that kind of confused me about the setting is I do remember this guy being British. I don't remember what he says, what he teaches, or really what the interaction is between him and his class and Charlie. But let's get into it. I'd see this is a science class. And of course, it being a TV or movie science class, you've got various tubes and cylinders and liquids on the shelf here. Of course, that's kind of a requirement, but let's see what happens here.
Buckets?
Yes, Mr. Turpentine.
I shall need an assistant. Come and give me a hand.
And this classroom is very old school. I know this movie was made in 1971. I'm not sure when it's supposed to take place. I think it's about the same time. I remember the TV guy, the Mike TV, whatever his name was, the kid that was obsessed with television, tells me that it may have been around this time period, the same time period. But these desks are really old school with these bench style desks. And it's a really small classroom also. I don't know if any of these kids speak up in the movie, but I'm curious to see if they give us any clues as far as the setting. I still don't know. Let me know if you know in the comments, Mr.
We have here
Turpentine.
nitric acid, glycerine, and a special mixture of my own.
Okay.
Together, it's horrible, dangerous stuff. Blows you up. But mixed together in the right way, as only I know how, what do you think it makes?
I don't know, sir.
Of course you don't know. You don't know because only I know. If you knew and I didn't know, then you'd be teaching me instead of me teaching you.
And I don't like this. I vaguely remember this, watching this as a child, but I didn't remember this dialogue. So he's just sort of demeaning them. Now, I've seen teachers do this, like once they get to know students and sort of do it in a fun way. I still don't really condone it, but I'm guessing maybe he's taught these kids for a long time and they know him and they know he's joking around and this is just his style. I have seen that before, but it is sort of risky to do that. And he says he's got a mixture of his own. It was labeled X. And he describes it as being very dangerous. Now, I'm going to assume that he's probably just being funny about that, describing it as dangerous. But let's say something really did happen. That would be awful if some of the kids maybe that didn't like him so much said, oh yeah, he described it as dangerous and that it would explode. And that was just fine with him. That would be a huge problem. That's part of the risk of joking like this, but let's keep going.
And for a student to teach his teacher, it's presumptuous and rude. Do I make myself clear?
Yes, sir.
Good. Now, mix together in the right way these 3 highly dangerous ingredients.
Highly dangerous.
Make the finest wart remover in the world.
Wart
The
remover.
trick is to pour them in equal amounts. Now, Charlie, you...
And my question is, like, what is the lesson? Like, if there's any sort of classroom demonstration like this, which does happen, you do have that, or a lab. This is not really a lab, it's just a teacher demonstrating some sort of scientific principle to the students. But I'm not seeing that. Like, I don't know what they're supposed to be learning by him mixing this stuff together. This is sort of what I kind of make fun of when it comes to TV and movie science classes, is they just start mixing stuff together and then it explodes and then that's it. That, I mean, it's like, what did they learn here? Let's keep going.
Take the nitric acid and the glycerine, and I'll take my own special mixture. You ready? Good lad. Pour.
What in the world?
No, certainly not. This is for very big walls.
And I mean, what did they learn? Again, they didn't learn anything. They poured it in, it whatever reaction there happened, and then the kids clapped, and then that's it. Like, they didn't learn anything. But let's keep going.
Oh, what's going on out there? Here, Winkleman, come here. What's happening?
Willy Wonka's opening his factory. He's gonna let people in.
You sure?
It's on the radio, and he's giving truckloads of chocolate.
And this is what confuses me also. Like, it seems to me, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a British school or it's in Germany, but like all the kids seem to have American English accents, except for this teacher. I'm not sure what that's about, but let's keep going.
What?
Class dismissed.
No, it's only for 5 people.
Class undismissed.
He said 5 golden tickets, and the people who find them will win the big prize.
Where's he hidden the tickets?
Inside 5 Wonka bars. You gotta buy Wonka bars to find them.
Class dismissed.
Okay. And, you know, I know that this is for the movie, and when this kid opens the door, there's kids just like flying down the hall, and this teacher just dismisses class. Is that a hawk up there? I'm guessing that's a fake hawk. I never noticed that before, up in the top left there. But he just says, "Oh, class dismissed." You know, number one, in most schools, teachers can't exactly do that. You just can't. The school or the school district would make that decision, and it's only going to be because of some, maybe a natural disaster or a storm. During the COVID pandemic, many schools did close down, or at least for in-person classes, but it's got to be for something serious. It's not like, oh, there's a chocolate bar contest. Let's all just leave class and not have class anymore. That's pretty ridiculous. All right, so this is the second classroom scene. I actually don't remember this one at all, but let's see what happens here.
I've just decided to switch our Friday schedule to Monday, which means that the test we take each Friday on what we learned during the week will now take place on Monday before we've learned it.
And this little side character, this teacher, this is just his style. He's just like, oh, he just changes things up, like his whole conversation with Charlie about the student teaching his teacher. He's just a, I don't know, he's sort of a clown, really. But he says he's going to switch his schedule so that they test them before they've learned something. Now, you wouldn't do it the way he's describing it. Now, some teachers do maybe some sort of pre-test or a benchmark test before students have learned the material. Sometimes in certain courses that does happen, so that obviously as you get into the course, the teacher will be able to use that data in order to see exactly how much students have learned. Some people call that a pre-test or a benchmark test or assessment. That is very common, but not like he's describing it. I think at this point in the movie, they're just all so depressed that they're like, oh, we didn't find the ticket, so let's just, who cares what happens as far as our class now. But in real life, of course, it wouldn't happen quite this way.
But since the day is Tuesday, it doesn't matter in the slightest. Pencils ready.
Okay.
Today, we are going to learn about percentages.
Oh,
and
yeah.
For an example, let's take the recent unpleasantness. Supposing
the recent unpleasantness, meaning that all the Willy Wonka tickets have been found, I think is what he means by that. And they're all kind of depressed. So I thought this guy was a science teacher. You wouldn't typically get into percentages and probability in science class. That's more math, unless this is an elementary school. I'm not sure how old Charlie is supposed to be. Maybe he's in 4th or 5th grade, although he looks a little big for that. But this guy, I guess, teaches a little bit of everything, or he is a science teacher and he teaches only science, but they're so obsessed with the chocolate bars that he's just going into this just because he's obsessed with with talking about it and trying to figure out what happened with it. But let's keep going.
There were 1,000 Wonka bars in the world, and during the contest, you each opened a certain number of them. That number is a percent. Everyone
Okay.
understand? You, Madeline Durkin, how many Wonka bars did you open?
About 100.
There are 10 hundreds in 1,000, therefore you opened 10%. You, Peter Goff, how many did you open?
150.
That's 10% half over again, which makes 15%.
Okay.
Charlie Bucket, how many did you open?
2.
That's easy. 200 is twice
Not
100.
200. Just 2.
2? What do you mean you only opened 2?
I don't care very much for chocolate.
Yeah.
Well, I can't figure out just 2.
Yeah, that he comes from a very low income family. You see during the movie they sort of struggled just for the basics, and so he was only able to get those 2 bars, and he's like, I can't figure out 2. Like, what do you mean? That's not that hard.
So let's pretend you opened 200. Now, if you opened 200 Wonka bars, apart from being dreadfully sick, you'd have used up 20% of 1,000, which is 15% half over again, 10%.
All right, as promised, I have one more thing to show you. If you noticed on my shelf at the beginning of the video, I have this wonderful creation by Triumphant Galaxy Studios. This is an actual painting that they did by hand of my logo, and it's going to go permanently on my shelf behind me. I really want you guys to see this. I was blown away when I took a look at this. This is a video from their channel. I'll put the link to the video in the description, but I just want you all to watch. This is what this particular channel does, usually with comic book characters and stuff like that, but they chose to highlight my logo here, and I have seen it already, but I wanted to rewatch it along with you and kind of show you this. All right, here we go. All right, you could see he starts out with just a blank slate, and he's doing this all by hand. Let's take a look. Love the music too. All right, you can start to see it. All right. There I am. That's so cool. Got my face here. Oh man, that's cool. Cover it. Yep. Love how he blends my beard. Okay. Finishing touches on here. And there it is. School Principal Reacts. That is awesome. All right, so that was Triumphant Galaxy Studios. Thank you so much for doing that. I'll put the link to that video in the description if you're interested. If you're not a subscriber to my channel or to Triumphant Galaxy, go ahead and check them out and click the button below on this video to become a subscriber to my channel. And I'll see you on the next video right here on School Principal Reacts. Thanks for watching.